Hello and welcome to Sew Help Me. This is a show where we help the beginning sewer learn how to do fun and exciting things about sewing and quilting and home decoration. And this is my handy cohort, Deb. Say hello, Deb.
Hello.
And she helps me along the way. We're not sure what with yet, but she does help me.
Prompting.
Yeah. And this is our Christmas show, so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas.
And what we're going to do today is we're going to finish off the table runner. We're going to actually be putting the table runner together. So last time we made the Shoo Fly block. And
Shoo Fly flock, not the Shoo Fly fly?
No, the Shoo Fly block.
Okay, excuse me.
Shoo Fly block.
A little bit too much holiday cheer.
This is the one that we made last time. This is actually the block that we made for Thanksgiving. And if you look, this right here is one block. Okay? Now for Christmas, I made a different block, and you can see what a huge difference the fabric makes. It is the same design, it's the same size, but it's different colors and different fabrics. And it gives you a whole different look. So what we're going to do is we're going to square off the blocks, and I'm going to show you how to put the blocks together. And then we're going to put some piping in there and put some backing on the table runner. How's that, Deb?
Beautiful.
Aren't you ready?
I'm ready.
Do you want to know how to do this?
Yes, please.
She wants to know how to do this. So
I'm taking notes.
Oh, are you?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. So let's go over just the articles that you need again for the Shoo Fly block. And for one block, you are going to need, for one 12-inch block, you're going to need 2 of the red squares, which are actually the squares in the corners that point to the corner block, that are 4 7/8 inches. Then you're going to need 2 of the print squares that are 4 7/8 inches. You're going to need 4 of the print squares that are 4 1/2 inches. You see that okay? And you're going to need 1 orange or center square that's 4 1/2 inches. Okay, so looking at this block right here, if you can zoom out just a little bit to get the whole block, these were 2 squares that were sewn together and then cut in half. These were 4 7/8. Okay, these were 4 1/2, and the center block is 4 1/2. All right, and then we sewed them together in strips. Now, if we can zoom in here just a little bit to see right to here. Great. I want you to see that right here, this is still a 1/4 inch. So when we put our 2 blocks together, we're going to be sewing right there. That's where we want to sew. If I move it around here, this one, again, you still have a 1/4 inch right there. And here, you still have a 1/4 inch right there, okay? So, on the other side, you can see exactly where that stitching is. If you zoom into right here, you can see exactly where that stitching comes together. This is where you want your needle to fall, right where those 2 threads cross. And you have to have both of these squares put together. All right, and it's a good idea to have the snowmen going the same way. You think? So we should have both our snowmen going the same way. I think I want this one in the center, so I'll put this one over here. And now I'm going to put right sides together, and what I need to do is I need to make sure that this one, this point right here, you could zoom in a little bit, this point right here, and this point right here line up exactly. That way my 2 points will be together. And this point right here and this point right here. Okay, so I'm going to take my pin. Oh, thanks. My handy dandy helper. Take my pin. Okay, I'm going to take my pin and I'm going to put the right sides together. And I'm going to poke my pin right through where that needs to go. Let's see. And I need glasses. Okay, so that pin needs to go right there. That's where my needle has to fall when I get to that point. Now I'm going to put the pin through to this point right here, which is where that comes together. I need to put the pin right to that point. Okay, and I have ironed my seam allowances, so one is going one way and one is going the other way. So I'm going to put the pin right through there, and then I'm going to line them up. Oop, just a minute. Okay, now I'm going to line them up. Okay, so you see the pin is going through both spots, just exactly where I need them to go. And now my points are going to come together when I sew those together. So let's go to the sewing machine. And pin that in. And I'm going to do the same thing here once we get to that spot. Okay, and we're going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, we have our machine threaded with cotton thread, and we're just going to go. And this foot right here, remember this foot has that nice flange on the side of it? So to get a 1/4 inch seam, all I have to do is butt the edge of the fabric right up to that flange right there. See? Isn't that nice, Dubs? Yes, we like that foot because it is foolproof.
Do I have one of those?
Hence, we don't have a problem when we are being foolish because it is foolproof. Dub's laughing. That's a good sign. Good sign.
That's not very foolhardy, is it?
No, we're not foolhardy here on So Help Me. Sometimes we are. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing.
Are we having a New Year's show?
Next time. Next time.
A Happy New Year show?
What are we going to do for the New Year?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. What are we going to do? I know. I can dress up like Father Time, and you can be the baby. I think that would be fun. If you have any suggestions on what we should do, you can always email us.
I ain't wearing the diaper.
I want to see you in a diaper. You can always email us at www.stitchwoman.com.
Don't send me anything.
Hey, thank goodness they won't know what your address is. Okay, let's see if we got the snowman right set up, because that's most important. Woohoo! And if you look right here, see that point?
Perfect.
Right, coming right together.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, so that's how you do that. Okay, so now we've got them together. And of course you're going to put more, you know, depending on how long you want it or how wide you want it, you can add blocks, right, or to the left,
correct,
or to the fore, or to the aft, as you so desire. Isn't he cute? I like those snowmen. I think I'll give that to somebody for Christmas. Okay, now we're going to talk about what we have to do with the table runner itself. Okay, so for the table runner, do you think we should have a front and a back?
Certainly.
Yeah. And on the inside, I usually don't put anything on the inside for the table runner because I don't want it thick.
No stiffening or anything like that?
I figure 2 layers of fabric is good, but you can put, if you want, you can put just a piece of flannel or something like that on the inside just to give it some, you know, just a little bit of body or puffiness. But I usually don't do that because I don't want it thick and then, you know, the dishes or something like that fall away. Anyways, so now we have to pretend that this is our table runner. Okay? This is our table runner. Thank you. Okay. This is our front piece, and I've just cut these so that I've got a point here, and I'm going to show you how to put piping on that point, okay? But we need to cut our back bigger. And that's why if you go to camera 2, you can see that I've got the back of it bigger, okay? So what we're going to do is, instead of sewing it together with a piping and leaving an opening, like you would do in a pillow, and then sewing that shut by hand. We don't like to do handwork that much. Not on that kind of stuff. We like to do the handwork we like to do, not the handwork we have to do. So instead of making an opening here and then turning it like you would a pillow, we are going to do it like a different pillow, like an overlap pillow. So on the back, we are going to have an overlap that's going to be open, and that way we can turn it, and that way our piping will look good all the way around. So that's why our back piece, our bottom piece, needs to be bigger than our top piece. It doesn't really matter how much bigger, because you can always have your overlap as much as you want. If you want to overlap 2 inches, you can do that. If you want to overlap 1 inch, you can do that too. If you don't want to overlap and you want a gap in there, you can do that too, whatever you want to do. But anyways, I have cut this bigger. So then what I'm going to do on the back is I'm just going to cut this in half. And then match it up to my front as much overlap as I need. Okay, so I'm just going to take my scissors and cut this down the center. Oui, oui. Yes. Okay. Now, if I was home, I would just serge this. But since we're not, and I don't have my serger here, I'm just going to hem this once. Okay? Oh, and I need my other foot on. I need my regular foot on. And your hem, you know, it doesn't really have to be even. It looks better, but who's going to see the back? You're hoping, you know, nobody's going to see that back. Unless you are really picky about that, then you better iron it and make it even. But I'm not a picky person. Not like my sister. She is very, very picky.
I'd probably measure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
So now we go zooming. And we're just hemming up this end. Okay. Now the other end, since it's going to be under, don't even have to hem that hard. Unless you're going to be washing it a lot, then I probably would hem it. Okay?
Unless you have really messy guests.
Yes, like your sister coming over, something like that. Okay, now I am going to put these together, and remember, you want the one you hemmed to be on the outside. Okay? Yeah. So this is going to be on the outside, and then right sides together. And now, if we sew this, zoom out, if you sew this all the way around, you're going to be able to turn it because you've got a hole right there. Okay, so now let's make our piping, because the piping has to be inserted before you sew it together. That's kind of important. To make piping, you can use 2 different feet. I usually don't use my regular foot because that doesn't work really well. And piping consists of, when you make your own piping, it consists of an inside core and an outside. Now this is a very small piping. That's what I've chosen. And that because I don't want big bulky piping in this little table runner. So it's very small. The strips that I've cut are just 1 inch thick. Or wide, or however you want to say that. Thick, wide, what? Wide. Yeah, whoa, wide. Okay. But we want to put this in the center and fold it over like so. And then we want to sew close to that piping. Okay? And you do need to have a special foot to do that. Now, we can use our zipper foot. I'm going to show you two different feet that you use to make the piping with. This is a zipper foot. You have one of these.
Thanks.
It comes with the machine. Isn't that nice?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I don't have one of these.
No, you don't have one of those. $14.95.
Oh, reasonable.
Okay, so now I want to get nice and close to my piping. But when I make my piping, when I make it, I usually do it in 3 steps. Okay, so I usually do my piping in 3 steps. The first step is I actually make the piping itself. All right. The second step is I attach the piping to the right side, the top of my table runner. And the third step is I put the table runner together. Now some people can do this all in one step.
Whoa.
Some people can make the piping, attach it to the top of it, and put the bottom on all at the same time and do only one sewing. I'm not that good, so I'm going to show you the 3-step method. I hope that's okay. When I make my piping, since I'm going to be sewing 3 times, I do not want to have this stitch really, really close to the piping here. I don't want this stitch really close, right here. Okay, so I'm going to actually move my needle over just a little bit, so that when I actually do put the piping in the table runner, then I move my needle very close to the piping itself on the inside. Okay? And usually, see the back of this foot right here will hold that piping right where it needs to be, and my needle will go along. Okay, and I'm just putting the piping right in the center here and sewing along. So you can see where a zipper foot would make this easier. Using your regular foot, you would have a hard time getting close to the edge, and you would kind of be sewing over the bump and
Sewing over the bump.
Yeah, that would be bad. We don't want to sew over the bump. So this is how you do it when you use your zipper foot. Okay? Now there is a piping foot. And I'm wondering if we can get a close-up of this foot. The back of this foot right here. Great. If you can see, oh, that's great. You can see that big groove in the bottom of that foot. That's where your piping is going to ride. And now you have, since we have needle position, you know, all over. We're all over on this machine. We're just all over. We can put that needle wherever we want it to be, but we're going to move it now because now we're going to be going through the center. Okay? So if I put this piping in, this piping is going to ride right down the center. Sorry about the hands there. Okay? So now you can see my needle is way far too over. Way far too over. You're supposed to correct me on those things. Too far, way over. Too far. What? It's over too far, actually.
It's far too far over.
Far too far. It's far, far away.
Far
so
away.
I'm going to move my needle.
Oh, I thought that's where you were going to sew. I was getting all confused.
No. Now I'm going to move it over a little bit
what
farther.
A fun little foot.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, yeah.
And this is also, you can use this to sew strings of pearls on. Like right here, that would look really nice.
Oh.
So now you can see this foot makes it so much easier. You can just really go vrooming on this one.
Can you use any size?
Yeah, this hole is actually too big for the piping that I've chosen. But that's okay. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to take this piping and we want to trim it. So it is exactly a 1/4 inch seam allowance from the edge there. And I have this handy dandy tool. This is wonderful. This is called Piping Magic. There's different versions of this, but what this has is grooves underneath there. And you're just going to put your piping in. Oh, we need to use the 1/4 inch side. So sorry. You're just going to put your piping right in the groove. We have to be groovy, Deb. Do you like to be groovy?
Certainly.
Certainly!
And it has all different sizes for the type of
so now,
piping.
This edge right here, if I just strip this off here, strip this off.
Whoa.
We're stripping for Christmas, stripping for Christmas.
We're supposed to do that for New Year's.
Oh, yeah,
you have to wait. I know you're all excited, but now let's be nice.
I'm so sorry. Oh, my goodness. Okay, now this is exactly a 1/4 inch. Okay, so now we're going to sew that piping in. And here is where you're going to want to use the right side of your table runner. Woohoo! Here we go. And I'm going to do a corner for you so you can see how to do a corner. All right, so this is the right side of the table runner right here. Go to camera 3, super. This is the right side of the table runner. And you're going to put your piping in like so. So it's on the right side, but the piping is facing the inside. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. My piping is right here. This is the right side of the fabric, but my piping is right here. So that when I take this and turn it down like that,
there it is.
That's what it's going to look like. Okay, so let me show you how to do a corner. You do not have to cut your strips on the bias for piping unless you're going to do curves. And I'm not doing curves on this one, I'm doing corners.
So you just leave that foot on then?
Yes, this is the same foot that I'm going to be using, but I'm going to move my needle in a little bit farther so you don't see that stitching. Okay?
Yep.
So here we go. And you can see I'm coming up to the corner here. I just have my raw edges together. And I'm coming up to the corner. Just before I get there, I'm going to take a snip in my piping. And if you can see, there's my corner right there. Put my needle out of the fabric, you can see that better. There's my corner right there. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to snip right on my corner. And then you can, I don't know if you can see that.
Doesn't matter what way you snip?
You can see that
Are
snip.
you supposed to go that direction, straight?
Straight in. I usually go straight in. If I need to make another snip to make it lay better, I do that later. Okay. So now I'm going to sew up to that snip with my needle down in the fabric. Okay. Then I'm going to put my foot up. I'm going to turn and look at how that piping just magically moves for me. Put my foot back down and it will automatically go.
Oh.
And that's how you do a corner. Isn't that cool? So here, there's your corner. And it does look, oh, sorry. It does look like it needs to be snipped a little bit more. But there's your piping. And that corner is going to lay just right. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, then what you're going to do is you're going to put your backing on to your whole table runner. And I've got my piping. Now this would be my third step.
Correct.
So I've got my piping attached and I'm going to sew on the side where I've got my quilt blocks because here again I want to make sure that I sew right where that corner is, so I don't have my corners cut off. Okay? So, and that's why I've got my pin there. You can see I want my needle to fall right at that corner, so that when I turn it right side out, I have it exactly where I want it to be, and my points are right next to the piping. Okay? And I don't have to leave a hole in this because we've already made the hole for, I feel where that piping is. Okay. We've already made the hole on the back to be able to turn it. Right?
Right.
Oh, hey! Oh, look. So, we're just going to poke ourselves and yeah. And make sure, now it's not a good idea to sew over pins. You should always remove the pins and then keep sewing. Yeah, sure. And make sure that that piping rides right in the groove of the foot there. And you're just going to go all the way around, and then you're going to turn it right side out, and you're going to end up with a table runner that has piping on it.
That is beautiful.
Okay? So Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas to you,
Guess
too.
what you're getting for Christmas?
A table runner?
Yeah!
Well, Merry Christmas to you all, and thanks for a wonderful year. Keep tuning in because there's many, many more ideas that we need to share. And we'll start as soon as the new year's here.
And remember,
Keep looking up. Bye now.